Bad decision. Not good for the sport, bad decision by FIFA.
Infantino has to go, and you need a new president. And I think you can get a president who is better than Gianni Infantino, because you just need a president who, when someone says to him, President, do you think it's a good idea for Cristiano Ronaldo to play in the first 2 games of the World Cup when he's banned? You need the president to go, no, that's not going to happen. Do you think Florent Balogun should play when he's banned? No. Do you think tickets for the World Cup final should be $1 million? No, not on my watch. Do you think Donald Trump should get a FIFA Peace Prize? No, that's not happening. Do you think the World Cup should be 64 teams? No. Do you think the World Cup should be held on 3 continents? No.
So do you think
it's simple?
Picture the biggest names in world football all making the same decision at the same time. Spain, the reigning world champions, and the team that just lifted the trophy. France, England, Germany, Italy.
Can Gianni Infantino now hold on as FIFA president? UEFA say they've lost confidence in his leadership. His controversial plans for the World Cup are now over, and now he could face a vote on his future. The next FIFA presidential election is due to take place in March next year, and Infantino was set to run unopposed. But 43 of FIFA's 211 member nations could trigger an extraordinary Congress, where a vote of no confidence on his presidency could take place. UEFA, CONCACAF and the AFC have all spoken out about Infantino's proposals, but now they need a credible contender to come forward to replace him. Those plans to sell off a stake in the World Cup are now over. The question now is whether Infantino's time is up too.
Some of the richest, most successful, and most influential football nations on the planet. Every one of them has reportedly delivered the same message to FIFA. We will not be showing up to the 2030 World Cup. This was not presented as a warning or a bargaining move. It was put forward as an official position. But those famous names are only the beginning. They are just 5 countries from a group of 55.
At a global event like this, you've said how inclusive it is, how welcoming it is as well. Are you embarrassed, therefore, by what actually has come to pass? And do you have to accept that you've lost some control of your own tournament here?
Instead of a handful of teams considering a boycott, the entire UEFA membership reportedly stood together in a single meeting, with every nation backing the same decision. So what could have pushed Europe's most powerful football confederation to consider turning away from the biggest tournament in the sport? The answer begins with a proposal that quickly caught everyone's attention. On Tuesday, Gianni Infantino introduced a formal plan for FIFA's future. Rather than keeping full control of the commercial rights to the World Cup and its other competitions, FIFA wants to place those rights into a newly created company called FIFA Forward Enterprise. The proposal goes even further. FIFA reportedly wants to sell around 20% of that new company to private investors in a deal valued at roughly $20 billion. Think about what that means. A share of the World Cup's commercial business could end up in the hands of private equity. The investor expected to lead the deal is a fund linked to Joshua Kushner, the founder of Thrive Capital. If that last name sounds familiar, there's a reason.
This is a man that cannot read the room, right? The word shame is not in his vocabulary. You cannot shame this man. He's brazen. Long before the World Cup, the Club World Cup was his idea as well. It was a money spinner. It should be shelved. If you watch the World Cup draw, that took cringe to different levels of cringe. And that showed you that this man here was not aware or was ignorant to the rest laughing at him. Not laughing at him because he wasn't making people a lot of money, because he was. But they were laughing at his actions. And his actions continued into the World Cup. And I'm not going to go over go over the coals again with this. But what he did during the World Cup was more harmful to the game than anybody making money. It was the integrity of the game, and we all know what I'm talking about. He was an utter disgrace, but he walked about this World Cup here in North America and beyond as if, as Joe said, as if he was untouchable.
Joshua Kushner is the brother of Jared Kushner, who is the son-in-law of the President of the United States. Strip away the corporate language, and this is the picture many critics are focusing on. The biggest sporting event in the world, built over generations by players, supporters, and football associations across every continent, could have part of its commercial rights tied to a private investment fund with connections to the White House. FIFA, however, did not present the plan as giving away part of its biggest asset. Instead, Gianni Infantino described it as a major opportunity for football's future. According to FIFA, if the proposal is approved by its 211 member associations, the extra investment would flow back into the game.
They're talking about monies that nobody's really looked at and gone through with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, in terms of, is this going to generate over 12 years $40 million per federation? Nobody's ever checked that out. But it's being used as I'll call it the bribe in inverted commas. My view is that Infantino has actually doubled down on the problems that he has with UEFA. What he's actually done is gone and try and blame the media and I think try to move away. He's talked about a planned consultation, but anybody who knows anything about business and putting in strategies such as this needs a consultation that's far more comprehensive than just giving them 53 days. And also, when you look at the proposal itself, it's pretty hard-baked. You've got bankers involved and so forth. You've got individuals identified. So there's clearly been no consultation. And I think him doing this is just him attempting to try and bat away the complaints that UEFA have and CONCACAF have as regards the consultation.
FIFA says each association could receive more than $80 million over the next 10 years, while development funding for smaller football nations would increase significantly. The offer sounded tempting on paper. FIFA argued that every association could benefit from a huge financial boost if the plan moved forward. But there was another detail that immediately raised concerns. Member associations were given a deadline of September 19th, leaving just over 6 weeks to approve a deal that could permanently reshape how the World Cup's commercial rights are managed. Reports also claim the confederations were not consulted before the proposal was announced, and that decision sparked the biggest backlash of all. For many football leaders, the issue was not only about the money or the investors, it was about the process. Instead of being included in discussions from the start, they felt they were being asked to approve a plan that had already been put together, with very little time to question it or suggest changes. UEFA responded first, and it responded quickly. On Thursday, European football's governing body held an emergency virtual meeting with all 55 member associations. According to reports, more than 50 representatives spoke during the meeting. By the end, the decision was unanimous. They agreed to support a boycott of the 2030 World Cup and other FIFA competitions for as long as the proposal remained active. They also called on FIFA to withdraw the plan and provide a binding commitment that its competitions would not be open to private ownership in the future. UEFA summed up its position with a clear message: the World Cup cannot be treated as an investment product. That statement captures the heart of the debate. Supporters of the proposal see the tournament's commercial rights as an asset that can attract outside investment. Opponents argue that the World Cup represents far more than a business opportunity and should not be open to private ownership. That difference in perspective is driving the entire dispute. For many people across the football world, the World Cup is part of the sport's shared history, built by generations of players, supporters, and national associations. They believe its value goes beyond financial returns, which is why the proposal has drawn such a strong reaction from some of the game's biggest organizations. The potential impact of a European boycott would also be difficult to ignore. If major football nations such as Spain, France, England, Germany, Italy, Portugal, the Netherlands, Croatia, and many other UEFA members stayed away, the tournament would look very different. Some critics argue that losing so many of the sport's strongest teams could significantly reduce the competition's appeal, its global audience, and the commercial value that investors would expect from an event of this scale. The first major test of this dispute would not even involve the men's game. FIFA's schedule includes the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil, along with several women's and youth competitions before then. If the reported boycott were to move forward, those events could become the first to feel its effects. That possibility has drawn attention because the players involved had no role in the disagreement over FIFA's proposal. Critics have argued that this risks turning women's football